Hey everybody, welcome once again to our Low on Health Rambling. This is going to be one of the year-end reviews for 2021, covering video games. Once again, the reason why I decided to do all this was to keep track of all the video games that I play, because I play
You play a
lot of
substantial
video
amount.
games. Always the fun caveat being that once again, maybe these games didn't come out this year, but I played them this year being 2021. And then, as always, a lot of these games have been made available to me mainly through
Game
Xbox
Pass.
and then through Game Pass or Xbox Gold, or from mainly free games available on Game Pass in a trial basis or in a time trial basis. In which case, if you actually go and hunt these games out, there are hundreds of them. At least dozens, but definitely hundreds of them.
2021 is when you played a bunch of those, like, choose your own, or not choose your own adventures, but like point and click.
Yeah, highlights type of.
Okay.
So what I want to do real quick is I'm going to go over to just kind of the usual top 10 for the year, but I'll go over the basic data that I got here, where like I played roughly 420 games. Now, depending on how you categorize DLC and whatnot, that's debatable. Ironically, 4 of these games I actually did buy, which usually I don't buy games because Game Pass gives you free games, Gold gives you free games, but there are 4 games that I went out of my way to actually buy.
Are they ones that are here in your top 10?
Yes.
I know.
Yes. And then just real quick, I did do 1 through GameFly, in which case this happened once again in 2022, which is the year we're in now, where essentially GameFly will be like, hey, for $1, we'll give you a month worth of rentals, and I can easily get 4 games out of that, as long as you can play all the 4 games, which we know I can.
And then you get grumpy every single time mail comes and your game's not in it.
Which reminds me of, it's always funny that people will be like, is Game Pass worth it? Keep in mind, back in the day, I was paying roughly $25, $29 for 2 games at a time of Game Pass, maximizing maybe 6 to 8 games
You mean
a month.
Not Game Pass.
GameFly, with GameFly.
GameFly.
That's what I was paying.
Yeah.
So with Game Pass, I'm paying like 15, theoretically not, because I'm always utilizing some type of system
Deal.
to get around it. But I get at least a dozen plus games a month from Game Pass. So to me, it's still the better financial option, and then even a better financial option if you actually were to buy a game at full sale price for $60.
It also depends on how you game and how quickly you go through games.
But
too. Which in your case,
we'll see a lot
Swift.
We'll see a lot of that. Basically, 4 bought, 1 through GameFly, and the rest are Game Pass or Ultimate Gold. So that tells you over 400 from just Xbox providing it to me. 49 of those were replays, which are essentially versions of the games that I played in the past. So it might be a remaster, not necessarily a remake. A lot of these are going to basically be the PC ports of things. So
because they have a new SKU, so you can get achievements with them
so
again.
Also a lot of these games I will only play if there are achievements related to them. Some games do come to
Generally.
Game Pass that don't have achievements. I don't bother.
You play so many games, it's almost impossible for me to keep up.
7 of these games are from the 360 era, which means they probably came from Game Pass Gold as free games. 59 of them were approximately on PC. So I always like just having all that data so I can crunch it. And once again, if I played 400 plus games, it doesn't mean I play through them through completion.
To completion, yeah.
It means
no.
I played them enough to understand what's in them and what do I enjoy.
And if you hate them or not. You're like, oh, it's funny sometimes, too, you boot up a game and I'm like, oh, this is a really pretty intro screen. You're not going to be playing this for long. And I'm usually right. It's usually some, like, when it has a really cool intro and really good graphics and, like, a good premise, it's usually just some, like, Drek 3/4 perspective
Type
game. And you're just like, you play it for 10 minutes and you're like, yeah, no. And I'm like, yeah, it always seems to be that way with those kind of games.
But the good news is it's interesting. So out of 400 games, these are the ones on the screen here that I've decided are like my top 10. In which case, Forgotten City. Once again, a lot of these games I had no idea about. A lot of them kind of did. Most of them I didn't even know about until a year or even a month before they come out. But Forgotten City just blew me away of having like a time just loop type of game and how they like just utilized it. Oh, it's just really good.
And this story was interesting too. Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
And then Backbone, which is kind of like your old school kind of point and click adventure game.
Pixel art.
Which
very
has just
pretty.
Great pixel art. It's just very awesome.
Cool furries.
And because like it's like a game where you could run through it in like 3 hours, I've probably actually played it from beginning to end about a dozen times, getting different achievement points.
Probably so.
And some of the achievements being glitched really don't work, so I think they might work. So then I'll just play through the whole thing. Like I know that game like it's in and out.
Good.
Oh, and
the story is really good.
The music is great too.
The music is good. Yeah, that's one of the things I always notice when you play games is what the the sound profile is like. Because you'll play some games that I'm just like, I have to put headphones on. This is horrific. And then other stuff I'm just like, yeah, this is chill.
The next game there is Life is Strange: True Colors. Like, I'm always
That's
a
one
big
of the games you bought.
fan of Life is Strange. Didn't really like 2 that much, but loved Before the Storm and the first one. And then when I heard about this one, I'm like, yay! But the cool thing about this one, this is one of the ones that I bought, because I bought like the deluxe edition, because it came with the remastered versions of Life is Strange and Before the Storm. So it really motivated me to buy this game in this set, and that's what I bought with my own real money. The next game is Maneater, where you play as a shark, causing
It was
havoc.
so funny.
Simple, basic,
It's just
great,
ridiculous.
awesome. Watch Dogs is a Watch Dogs game. Maybe not as good as the other Watch Dogs games.
Yeah, no, not as good as the other
Not
Watch
as
Dogs
good as
games.
2.
I don't really remember it.
Not as good as 2. 1 is great.
Watch Dogs 2, Social Justice Warrior was good.
Unpacking is just a nice,
Oh, it's so
simple,
chill.
kind of puzzle-ish, chill game. It has the best, like,
was cute.
indirect storytelling, passive story, environmental storytelling.
Yeah, there you go.
That is just great.
Yeah.
Boyfriend Dungeon is
it's
a dungeon
awesome.
crawler that is kind of has a visual novel element to it. And it's just great, fun,
Otome?
awesome.
Is that what those are called?
No idea. Visual novels on our end.
But it's like with the ones where you're like, you're supposed to date all the people.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
Then you also have Superliminal.
That one's neat.
Which is just an
So
awesome
neat.
kind of mind-bendy, really plays with level design and geometry and just gameplay mechanics, which is awesome. Lake is a very chill game where you play as a postal carrier delivering packages and mail.
Yeah, that game just
Chill.
like went. I remember like 2 visuals from that game and like nothing else. So it must have been incredibly chill.
But I really liked it. And then right there at the very bottom, squeaking in, is on number 10 is Serious Sam, which I've never been a big fan of the Serious Sam series. Like,
It
who
was
cares
funny
about
as
those type
hell.
of action games? But it is rock solid gameplay. The story was actually endearing to a point, which is really weird. I'm not saying stupendous.
It's like
I knew what it was.
it knew what it was and it was funny about it. It was like one of those things that it's like stupid, but it's self-aware that it's
And
stupid,
this isn't like
so it becomes
this isn't like
comedy.
like there's also a Samurai Warrior. Oh, I forgot what it's called. That's kind of has that, but it definitely is trying to be in your face about it, kind of like Duke Nukem style. But this isn't like that, or it knows it's
No.
like that, but it doesn't go beyond that line to annoyance.
It's like, what's the who is the guy from? Oh, I can't even remember the name of the game. The game that came out at the same time.
Anything like Duke Nukem?
Half-Life 2. No,
Oh.
Half-Life.
Okay,
Who's the guy from Half-Life?
Gordon Freeman.
Gordon Freeman.
Mm-hmm.
What's the super famous parody series, Life of Gordon Freeman or something
No
like that,
idea.
where like
Honestly, I have no idea what you're talking about.
it has like ridiculous ragdoll physicals and stuff.
There's Gary's Mod, which was anyway. We're moving on. Nonetheless, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed Serious Sam, and once
It was
again,
very funny.
a lot of these games, some of them I played twice. I know I definitely played Serious Sam twice because it was on PC.
Yeah, you played that twice.
But no, that's basically my top 10 of the year. Definitely Forgotten City. And keep in mind, a lot of these games, even if you don't have an Xbox, if you have a PC, you can run them on a PC. Even if you don't have a PC, a lot of these games are available on the cloud. So long as you have a decent internet connection, you can pay $1 and get like 3 months, 1 month of like Xbox and just try this stuff out. You just need to have a controller. Actually, some of these games you could play on a tablet or phone with touch controls. Like Unpacking, you might be able to do that. I don't know exact list.
probably.
But what Xbox is doing, being so consumer focused
Friendly.
and friendly, like being able to access these games, access them on so many different platforms is just really, really good.
Did I play anything else besides Animal Crossing in 2021? I don't think I did.
not in
I
2021,
haven't played any video games like at all, really.
I tried to get you to play It Takes Two, which you kind of given up on, but we'll
the
come back to it.
gameplay is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot stand the characters and the writing.
Yeah, we'll come back to
It
that.
makes it unbearable.
Here is my long list of games. Very long list. In which case, this is where I just the Excel file where I keep all the games I played.
I should just start keeping track of like the games that you play that I'm like, oh, I like that soundtrack.
Can I zoom this out? Zoom. So these things pop out more. Like
There
you only
you go.
see my review on it, or my rating on it. You can just see what the names are. So yes, Forgotten City, etc. So these are my top. Other games, later It Takes Two, Forza 5, which was fine. Replayed Undertale. But yeah, just a lot of games that I played. Yakuza was good.
I don't like any of the audio profiles in Forza.
But nonetheless, I'm going to be doing a video called New Game, Old Game Minus, where I'm going to go over kind of breaking down more of all the games I played this year, or kind of the themes of the games I played this in 2021, because you can see here where I put like GP, which is of course Game Pass, and then replay, so you can see which ones that I replayed, going through again, because a lot of games were added from the Bethesda and whatnot. Some of these games that you can see, I just got quick achievements and then pieced out, or I enjoyed it. But yeah, this is the only way I can keep track. I mean, I played a Ben 10 game, Race with Ryan, which is like a YouTuber, like
Oh my
kid
god,
YouTube
it was
game.
so stupid.
It's like a kart racer. But once again, I'll try everything. I'll get some achievements and I'll bounce out.
And then there are the
And then-
games where you're like, oh
yeah.
my gosh, I actually really like this. I thought I would hate it. Like that one game.
And then there are these series of games which are called Artflex Mundi.
Artifacts Mundi.
Which is a developer studio that makes a lot of these games, which are like kind of like your dime store, like
Highlights
trash.
magazine.
Well, no, I wouldn't even say like like the books you see at like the supermarket.
Sure.
They're like those just dime romance novels where it's just that's all it is. It's just you know what you're getting into. These games are very much kind of like find the hidden blah 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 in the scene, and you have to find the broomstone,
And you gotta like combine the things.
Yeah, and put stuff
figure
together. So
out- yeah.
But it's very cookie cutter where they just keep making just roll out constant of these games, and they have trials, and they have let me get achievements. So I played like over
They're generous with the
50 to
achievements,
60 of these
too.
games. It was just crazy once I found out these games had a free variant. So we see that list here. That's basically those games, and a lot of them are in series of stuff. But I mean, here's just a huge chunk of games that I played of that, which is just crazy.
Yeah, wow, I didn't
a
realize
lot
you
of
played that many.
A lot of EA games, like sports games and whatnot, I played. I'll just play them a little bit, get the gist, and peace out. More games of just got engaging achievements, or games where I replayed them on Game Pass. Like even the old Doom games came. Yeah, this is all the Bethesda stuff.
It's always a fun mini game for me to attempt to predict what games you're gonna give up on and how quickly.
Yeah, and I try
It's
to
like,
at least,
kind of like, oh, you're not gonna play this.
I try to
for
at
long.
least play them a little bit to give them a chance of being good or bad, or just like Lawn Mowing Simulator for some reason I had high hopes for, but that didn't do too well. But yeah, we can just see here a bunch of video games that I played. I'm trying to think this is my main list where I combine everything that I've played. Still going on here. A lot of these are kind of like clicker games too that have like PC variants that have achievements, which were interesting. But yeah, when you talk about playing over 400 games and just keeping track of them, this is the only way I know how to easily do that. And I'm still scrolling through here because I wanted to see what the final count was, which used to be around 420. But yeah, Dungeons and Dragons and Dark Alliance was not good at all. A lot of Warhammer stuff. So that's around 420. Okay. But yeah, that's the long list of all the games that I played. And I'm going to go into a different video where I talk about like what month I played the most, and kind of a bigger breakdown in what games I bought and how I've been kind of funding this. Because it's very interesting how you can get so much gaming for really low. And I'm not even talking about like free to play games. I'm still talking about these are like big games that I played that were relatively quote unquote free or with the service. But let's just go back here. But yeah, so that's the gaming. I do a lot of it. It's the main thing I do, main thing I spend the most time on. Luckily, I have an awesome girlfriend here who.
I like watching you play.
Yeah, it's not like she allows me to play video games. It's not like we have a set schedule. It's just
No.
like, hey, I'm doing this, hey, I'm doing that. And with a lot of these lists, you see the movies and TVs and the anime I would watch.
They're like, oh, what is she doing while you're playing all those games? How does she feel about that? In my dating profile, I said I want to find somebody who likes playing games because I like watching people play games more than I enjoy playing them myself. And it's like, yeah, I'm doing stuff. I'm drawing, or I'm reading things, or I'm talking to friends. It's not like because you're playing games, I can't do what I want. I know I'm doing what I want at the same time, and that's called parallel play.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we're both doing what we want at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I like watching you play games. It's only the games that have like really annoying audio that I don't like. But
And
guess what? I have headphones
And
for
then
that.
she'll put headphones
or-
on, or I'll put headphones on, or if
Or
I'm
you'll
just
turn it
if I'm
down.
grinding stuff, we'll play like a podcast or a video or something. It just
Yeah,
has
and
audio.
that's rare. Most games have decent music and audio design.
design,
There's
yeah.
only sound design. That's the word I was looking for.
But okay, well, thank everybody for watching, and we will catch you next time.